Hello everybody, I hope you are doing really well. I am here today to talk about empowering your digital self, and I just want to talk all about our digital selves. Hopefully I won't be doing that the whole time, and how to peacefully integrate this into the rest of your life, into your 3D life. And so many of you may have experienced something like, you have a day off and maybe you end up spending a lot of it online. You feel like you get sucked into this online vortex and your 3D life gets kind of neglected. Or maybe you're somebody who's like, oh, I just don't know how people can waste so much time online. I do. The internet has actually always been a pretty integral part of my existence. I'm 26, so when I was growing up, it was around. My family had it. I was like 13 when I really found a niche in a poetry group that posted online, and I felt a lot of community and support and expression and powerful things through that group that I couldn't really find in person. I didn't know how to express myself, and the beauty of doing that on the internet is that you feel like your perfected self. You get to take a while to craft your response to somebody. You get to, display yourself in kind of whatever light you choose. There's something actually very artistic about how we display our avatars, our online selves. And so I went from being, part of this little poetry forum to being on the Weezer boards, for any of you who remember those, the message boards, and I don't know, it's been less and more active different times in my life, but I've always found some community online. So there were parts of me that wondered, if I hadn't had the internet, would I have, forced myself to be more outgoing? Would I have become more outgoing and more connected to people in 3D just because I would have had to have? And I don't know the answer to that, and I don't know that it's really my job to answer that question, but more to work with what I've got and the fact that I have a passion for observing my digital self and how this digital self has evolved over time. And it's interesting making YouTube videos and being aware of how I present myself. I never want to look like physically really janky or like jacked up. But I do want to preserve a sense of, this is just how things are right now. This is me hanging out in my hoodie that I got from a thrift store and there's paint on it. And I don't want to always have to dress up to the nines before I make this, or to make anybody think that I'm more perfect than I am. But yet, I of course know that there are ways that I subtly manipulate angles. I probably wouldn't give an angle where I'd have some big double chin or really up close, where you could see my acne and stuff like that. So I think it's all a process. But okay, if you think about what we're doing when we participate online, is we are creating this avatar of ourselves that affects how we think of ourselves. And I think we have the ability to basically project ourselves into this digital dimension. We're basically like wizards. We have all of these instant manifestation possibilities in front of us. We Google something, we learn about it. You're having an online conversation with a friend about something, Google the topic and you know more about it. Or music to send to somebody, or it creates all of these different kinds of connections with beyond our digital selves. And I think it's fascinating. And so there's absolutely this shamanic, wizardry, magician stuff going on, this instant manifestation stuff. It's so powerful. And, we can order something online and have it be there the next day. How amazing is that? And it's interesting because I find that our digital and our 3D selves and our view of those and how we want to approach them become very polarized sometimes, and we think oh, this Facebook, this social networking stuff, it's all garbage, I need to get it out, I need to cut it out of my life and get to the real world. But I think that something is actually happening, and that our digital world is helping us to evolve our 3D world, and that we can do it in really positive ways, and it doesn't have to be all bad and have to be all scary. I think it can actually reflect our own power to us. But then also, I think it is very valuable to not get lost in the idea of perfection and about presentation, because you can, through making videos and posting online, you can do this thing where you're opening your heart chakra more and more, and in a way it can almost serve as like a testing area, you know, where you can dabble in all of these things like manifestation, and you can dabble in your own power and expressing yourself. Like, I'm not just talking in front of groups of people in 3D about things I'm interested in. You know, yeah, I have conversations, but you know, when I'm putting this out there into the world, it's potentially for anybody who stumbles across this to watch. And I'm not really walking up to strangers and, you know, talking about 3D worlds and digital selves and all this stuff, right? So in a way it gives us this seemingly safe space to test out our own power and to own our own power and to wield these tools as we will, and it gives us a chance to break down barriers rather to construct more of them. I mean, I remember posting on message boards and blah blah blah, and there would be like picture threads, and I would post, I mean, I guess I was pretty good at taking a really flattering picture of myself. I didn't really look like those pictures, and I really craved like the idea of somebody thinking I was pretty, and I just didn't really find myself to be beautiful. I was very self-hating at that time, so I kind of like, I thought that my digital self was like pretty hot, but I like did not think that my 3D self was pretty hot. And so I was making, you know, all of these connections that could only go so far, because, you know, when it came time for me to meet somebody whom I had fallen in love with on the internet, I was like this total anxious wreck, because I thought like, oh my god, he's gonna like see how ugly I am. And I was just like terrified. I was like, I hope he loves me enough to like look past my, you know, how I look and all of this weird stuff like that. So I just want to remind all of us, including myself, that we really are wizards, and we really are so powerful, and that I do think that this digital dimension is really helping us to connect to these ideas and connect in general, but that it is very important for us all to keep taking down barriers and keep, you know, deconstructing some of the walls that ego really likes for us to build up, and letting other people in. And I'm fully aware of the fact that not everybody is going to like what I have to say, and I think that it, you know, if it gets to a point where people are saying hurtful things about me, I think that will suck in a sense. And I also think that it'll be exciting that people who disagree with me are seeing these videos, because I think so far it's really been people who had already, I'm like probably preaching to the choir. I mean, I don't have any way of distributing these, you know, it's just like whoever finds them, whoever's called to them. And I totally respect anybody's differing opinions on what I have to say, but I'm really fascinated by the connection between our digital and our 3D selves. I would really like to get a little bit more discussion on this, and I'd love to talk to other people about what is your relationship with your digital self and your 3D self, and how they affect one another's evolution. And do you find one to be more real than the other, and how do you feel your life changing as you update your Instagram when you're doing something with a loved one? Or, you know, does a moment feel as fulfilling if you don't have a Facebook status to capture it? These aren't judgments. These are really just, I'm wondering, you know? So thank you for watching this video, and I would really love some response on this topic. So, okay, thank you so much.